Well, Penn State and Indiana both picked up a quarterback out of the transfer portal, but which one is better?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is right. It is a Locked On crossover, but a different kind of one. If you are new here, we talk about the Big Ten Conference in these crossover episodes. My name is Zach Seyko. I'm the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. He is Jacob Goins, the host of Locked On Hoosiers, as we come together to give the Penn State and the Indiana perspective of the Big Ten. So North Dakota State, they are quietly going to have an impact on, well, the unfortunate teams in the Big Ten. We'll get to that later, how North Dakota State's move to the Mountain West actually impacts the Big Ten. We're going to give our early Big Ten power rankings, who should be favored, who should be at the top. Is Penn State a dark horse to win the Big Ten? I think we should start with a debate session here, Jacob. So I hope you're up to date on your Law and Order and debate skills here, because Hoover versus Becht, which the floor is going to be yours first to make the opening statement, because the rankings, I mean, it's the margin. We're splitting hairs at this point, because On3 says that Hoover is slightly better than Rocco Becht, but 24/7 says that Becht is slightly better than Hoover. So the case, Indiana, why do you think they made the right choice by going and getting Josh Hoover?
Well, I'll do you one better. Our friends at FanDuel say that Josh Hoover has the third best betting odds to win the Heisman Trophy next year. Now, you could take that for what it is in mid-February. That means people are putting money on him and banking on him to be good. But I think that's a pretty solid bet, given what Indiana's offense has done the last 2 years, what Indiana has done with quarterbacks, and the fact that a Heisman Trophy is now walking off campus and heading to the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft with Fernando Mendoza. And by the way, Seyko, you're mispronouncing Josh Hoover. They're calling him Josh Hoosier here in Bloomington, because they're already that excited for him and what he's going to do. I said,
do I not know how to read? I got worried there.
Yeah, I threw you off your game a little bit. Josh Hoosier is what they're calling him, which is so cool, by the way. But a guy who can do it all with the football in his hands. He can throw the ball deep. He can hit the crossing routes. He can dump it off. He can make decisions with his plays or with his legs if he needs to. And the back shoulder NFL style throws are what he's so good at. That's what Fernando Mendoza was good at. Could he throw the ball deep? Sure. Mm-hmm. But Mendoza was good at picking the defense apart, and that's what Josh Hoover does as well. The only issue and slight concern that I have is the turnover problems, double-digit interceptions.
Say, are we thinking turnovers here? Because he had a number of interceptions.
Yeah, a little bit, but I almost blame that more on the system and the players around him more than I do Josh Hoover himself, because his offensive line was atrocious down the stretch. He just didn't have the dudes around him to help make plays, and I think he tried to force some things because he knows he's good. He knows he can make those plays. He just has to be a little bit smarter with the football. And I think that Curt Cignetti, Mike Shanahan, and Tino Sunseri, the head coach, the OC, and the quarterback's coach, are going to fix that. And they're going to make him the nation's best quarterback next year. So, yeah, give me Josh Hoover all day long at Indiana. But we flip the page over to Happy Valley, and it's a new coach, a new offense, and a new quarterback in Rocco Becht. Sell me on it, my friend. Tell me why he could be an underdog, why he could be a dark horse in the Big Ten as one of the best quarterbacks in our conference.
I mean, I'm looking for efficiency, right? This is not going to be a guy that lights up the stat sheet, because Penn State's going to be a ground and pound type of team. But Rocco Becht, what I'm looking for is accuracy, limiting turnovers, and being that dual threat when you need him to be. So I don't know Hoover's component, does he use his legs a lot or anything like that? But Rocco Becht, I mean, he can be a running quarterback. And I want him to be a runner, but I also want him to be protected next season too, because you need him to be able to sustain a 12-game schedule. Hey, hopefully more than that, right? if we're thinking playoffs and everything.
Right.
But Penn State, and that's what Penn State is thinking. They think that they can sneak into the Big Ten. They think that they can sneak into the college football playoff because everything is controllable. Okay. Your schedule's manageable. You're focused on USC and Michigan. You win one of those 2 games, everything takes care of itself. You go 10-2 with a win against one of Michigan or USC. I think Penn State has a resume to potentially be an at-large team, similarly to how Indiana was in year one under Kurt
Mhm.
Cignetti, but it's going to be dependent on the play of Rocco Becht. I just think about how he's going to get the better supporting cast. Receivers are relatively the same, but I think of the offensive line. I think of the ground game that's going to be a little more imposing. Well, the Iowa State running back's coming over, so how much better? Again, offensive line, the depth. Carson Hansen doesn't need to take a million carries and run the tires off. He's going to have 3, 4 different players that they can. So it's the supporting cast where I don't know who is better at the end of the day. It's kind of preferential at that point. Josh Hoover, do I think maybe he's more of a better natural passer? I'll concede that. I think that Hoover's probably the better overall passer in terms of that ability, but comprehensive quarterback that, and then you're kind of debating IQ at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's not all about arm strength, right? It's not all about who can throw it 70 yards or who can hit the home run ball. It's who makes the right decisions, who makes winning plays, who doesn't turn it over in crunch time. That's what makes a good quarterback. That's what makes a successful quarterback in P4 football, especially in the Big Ten, going up against the nation's best defenses. And that's why there could be a little concern from those on the outside looking in with Josh Hoover, because the lazy take is, oh, if he threw interceptions in the Big 12, he's going to have double that in the Big 10.
Hey,
I don't think so.
We're dealing. We both picked up a Big 12 quarterback,
right? And I don't think that's the case because, again, I think the system that Josh Hoover will be in is much better and much different. Rocco Becht is basically in the same system. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the same type of system,
same offensive coordinator, same quarterbacks coach, but the difference is the idea is that the defense is supposed to be better, have more depth. And again, the offensive line is going to be able to better protect him. You're not forced to. You're going to be able to use Rocco Becht's legs as a luxury as opposed to forcing him in the game plan as an extra threat in the offense because you don't have that capability anywhere else too. Here's what I want to throw in about just as props to Indiana. Because of the season that Fernando Mendoza had, right? We all knew that Rocco Becht was going to end up at Penn State. We knew that, right? Penn State wasn't trying to recruit all these other different quarterbacks. They knew that was going to happen. But when you look at Indiana's perspective, they essentially had the first choice. At the end of the day, you just turned somebody who was at Cal. Now, granted, Fernando Mendoza is a really good prospect in his own right, but you took a quarterback that was from Cal, and at Indiana, he was able to become the Heisman, win a national championship, go undefeated, and he's projected to be the #1 overall draft pick. So if Indiana, it's not even so much about Josh Hoover picking Indiana, it's about who Indiana picked as its quarterback. And if they think Hoover's that good, they could have gone with anybody. They went with Hoover, so that tells me something.
You're spot on. And we have said that on my show on Locked On Hoosiers about every single player at every single position, from the offensive line to the defensive line to the corners and the safeties, and of course the quarterback too. And that's why I'm overly confident and borderline arrogant here, because the two quarterbacks that Indiana's had have been pretty darn good. Curtis Rourke would have been in New York for the Heisman ceremony if he didn't get injured. I don't think he would have won it. I think he would have been there. He got Indiana to the playoffs, and he was playing with several injuries along the way. And then Mendoza, like you said, all the accolades are there. So why would I not be confident in the film of Josh Hoover, in the system of Indiana? I know we got to move on, but is Rocco Becht, in your opinion, is he a Heisman? Does he have to be a Heisman contender for Penn State, or does he have to be a game manager system guy and just control the game for Penn State to be good in year one?
Well, I like that Rocco Becht is confident. So he's not afraid to take risks. He's not Mr. Game Manager by default.
I agree.
That's not what he wants to do, but he will be asked to do that at certain times because, again, for the most part, Penn State's going to be playing with a 2-3 touchdown lead. And then you get to the differentiator is going to be, okay, you might need to get into a shootout against USC. Is Rocco Becht capable of that? I think he is. Are you able to prevent the costly turnover against Michigan? I think he is. So Rocco Becht will need to protect the football in some situations, be able to air it out in others. So, and it's really particularly those two games. We didn't even talk about Dylan Raiola, but he's going to be the backup. We were talking about starters here. We got more to talk about here with the Big Ten rankings. Who's in tier 1? Well, Indiana, obviously, because they're defending the title. They're defending the throne. Ohio State, Oregon. Who's in tier 2? USC, Michigan. Is Penn State in tier 2? We're going to get to that next here on this Locked On Crossover.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
The Big Ten is top heavy once again. Indiana's going to be up there again. They expect to get back to the title until you tell them otherwise. Oregon's going to be really good. Oregon is absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
And I think easily has the best quarterback room in the country with Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola, 2 starting caliber players. And I feel like Raiola is eventually going to have, going to be able to reach his potential at Oregon by sitting and waiting. Then you have Ohio State. Ohio State's always, and I don't, that order is not, that's not set in stone. Okay?
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Sounds
I
great,
heard Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. Good for me. Shut the pod down. We're good. Just hit record. We're good.
Yeah, let's wrap it. No. And then tier 2 is where I'm confident in Michigan, USC in terms of talent. We're talking about purely on paper, not who's going to finish, with what record, because everyone's schedule's different. I mean, I just got done talking about all the different schedules on the Big Ten squad. And, Michigan's got a gauntlet. Michigan's got a really tough schedule. Penn State's got a cakewalk. I mean, they should be able to walk into the Big Ten title or the playoff with how easy that schedule is. But Penn State, from a talent and a roster standpoint, they are trying to get into tier 2. So I would rank the teams as, and this is where your Indiana fan base is gonna love me here. I would go Oregon. I would go Ohio State. I would go Indiana in tier 1, 1A, B, and C. In tier 2, Michigan 2A, USC 2B. And these are really good teams. I think these are all playoff caliber, fringe title contender between Michigan. It's if Bryce Underwood can take that next step.
Yeah.
And USC because of everybody they're returning. And then Penn State is 3A looking to get into tier 2. But I don't think they're that far behind USC and Michigan. There is a gap, but I don't think they're that far behind.
Yeah, and there's so much to be determined, right? Spring is going to help us a lot in the Big Ten and across college football too, because a reminder for fans who maybe haven't realized or don't remember is there's no spring portal window. So the rosters that we have are set. This is it. There's nobody leaving, nobody coming in. You're not changing things in mid to late April and having to relearn half the roster throughout the summer and then see them and wait until late July, early August for fall camp, right? What you see is what you get and what you have. And that is a good thing for college football. We could debate on whether the calendar's still broken or not. It is.
Oh, it is.
But this is at least a good thing to where we can start to digest these rosters a little bit. And that's what the summer's going to be for too. But I look at Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. I look at those 3 teams to continue to run the Big Ten this upcoming season as they did a year ago. And then, that tier 2, man, I think it's a revolving door. I think it could be Michigan. I think it could be Penn State. I think it could be USC. Will Washington finally get back to legitimate playoff contender with Damon Williams returning to Seattle after the drama he went through? I think they can.
Chemistry matters, man. Chemistry matters. Oh, he stabbed them all in the back. Are you kidding me?
He never wanted to actually leave, Zach. Come on. He didn't really want to leave.
Oh, of course he said that. Let's take his word for it.
He was just messing around. He was just joking.
Just
the internet
kidding.
The internet took it the wrong way. Yeah, he didn't mean it. But, I mean, on paper, He's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. It's just in terms of pure talent, right? I think he is.
Not when your team's not going to block for you the same or catch for you the same.
That's the issue. And I need to catch up with our buddy Roman Tomashoff of Locked On
He's
Huskies.
not worried about it.
He's not? Really?
He's not. He says all is well.
Wow.
All is well in Seattle. Rainy Seattle.
I don't know about that. But that's the cool thing about our conference right now in the Big Ten is we can have these debates and they're legit. They are actual conversations. The SEC is trying to have this conversation. They can't do it. The Big 12 is trying to have this conversation. They can't do it. And the ACC is just a joke right now, other than Miami, who played for a national championship.
Hey, James Franklin's in that conference. You watch what you're saying.
Yeah,
I've been told that that's now an elite conference.
Well, go ahead and put Virginia Tech down as a team that will not make it to the playoff with James Franklin as their head coach. Just color me in that category. But the Big Ten is it's in its own category, man. It's in its own land because of how good it is and now how deep the conference is too. So all those teams we mentioned, yes, I think Washington could be that dark horse. I tried to will that into existence a year ago and it didn't work, but maybe I'll hitch my wagon to that horse again. But our conference is loaded. Our quarterbacks are good, our coaches are good, and our teams are good. And that's really, really exciting for the upcoming season.
There's still a power dynamic though. And I know you'll agree with me. The teams that we've isolated here is the best of the best teams. Then there's a gap within the Big Ten. But what's nice, and you say this, the conference is strong. There's still levels to it. Then they go out and they beat up on their equivalents. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we get to bowl season. And it's like, well, Illinois is not, that they were good this past season, but they weren't great. They weren't elite. They won. They went and beat an SEC team, okay? Yeah. Michigan was going through a coaching change and everything else, so I wouldn't expect them to beat a fully loaded Texas team in the bowl games, but everybody else that went out was winning their bowl game in the Big Ten. So there's still levels to it, though, because, okay, how do we consider Iowa? Well, Iowa goes out and wins a bowl game, but in the Big Ten, it's tough sledding. Yeah, I don't see them as a
lot of close losses, though, Zach. A lot of close losses for that Iowa.
Well, they
team.
Beat Penn State, so I don't know how much I want to talk about. Right?
you may not want to jam into this.
I don't know that I want to go there. But what other team do you see being this year's debatable Illinois? Right? Oh, they brought everybody back. They could sneak into the college football playoff. They should be 10-2, maybe 11-1. I don't see it this year from anybody. Maybe Washington. But if it wasn't for the DeMond debacle, I'm not on board with it. Chemistry matters.
I'm with you, man. I think the teams we've highlighted are pretty much in that upper echelon, at least upper half, I guess. I guess it's the Big Ten has so many freaking teams in it now, the upper third, if you will.
But I can't make an argument for a sneaky team this year.
I don't think I can either, man. I really don't. And Washington was my team. That was the team that nobody's actually buying Minnesota or Rutgers or UCLA.
Who's trying to make that argument, though?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody. Yeah. Nobody's selling it. Nobody's buying it, right? Mm-mm. Michigan State?
Oh, no.
Maybe. I don't know.
Pat Fitzgerald, they're in the right. They're trending in the right direction. I will give it, because I went in with the Jonathan Smith mindset. But no, the Pat Fitzgerald taking over, I will give them time. I will buy stock in them over the next 5 years. I will not buy stock in them for 2026.
I think that's fair. I'm hitching at least right now in February, I'm hitching my wagon to Washington. And if they burn me again, then I might just have to give up on them and Roman's just going to have to be okay with it.
I will. You're going to need some ice. I guess, again, by default, if I have to take somebody, it's Iowa and Minnesota just because they're scrappy and they play ugly football and sometimes they win games they're not supposed to, but they're not going to make a push for the playoff. None of these teams that we're talking about, no. It's Penn State, not in this order, but Penn State, USC, Michigan, obviously Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. Those are the only teams that are contending for the playoff here.
Which is 7, right? Is that the count? 7 teams in that, which is great.
Did I mess up my count? I thought I had you.
Well, do it again. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
USC, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, 6. Okay. Well, and then Washington can be 7. Ha! Boom. There we go.
Yes.
But
okay.
That either one, 6 or 7, right? Those are both good numbers.
Oh, no.
Stop it. Those are both good numbers for a conference to have as teams who can compete for the Big Ten and compete for the college football playoff to at least get there, right? We're not saying that all those teams are national championship contenders. That's idiotic. That's just not true. But those are teams that can get there. Those are teams that can make noise. Those are teams that when the calendar flips to November, people are still talking about them because they're relevant and they have chances to impact the college football playoff one way or the other by inserting their name into that slip. So that's what the Big Ten has over everybody else. The Big Ten has more competitors to make the college football playoff than any other conference in college football, period.
And title contenders. Other than Penn State, I think those 5 all have a case to be a title contender. How close they are is to be determined. But Michigan, again, they catch momentum. Bryce Underwood picks up as a former 5-star. Same thing with USC. They reloaded. I will buy contender type of status for those 5 teams. Penn State, well, let's have the optimism. They can still be good, but title contender, that's going to be an uphill battle for Matt Campbell in year 1. So that's the Big Ten in a nutshell. Those teams that we were dunking on, because, well, they're going to have another problem too. It's not just the teams within the Big Ten. No, it's the newest team in the Mountain West Conference. We're going to tell you why the North Dakota State Bison are going to give fits to at least half of the Big Ten. That is coming up next here on this Locked On Crossover.
Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life, okay? This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out the forms and what to send and who to send it to and all that mess, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert did not file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
Jacob, I like me some Bison. both as a burger and as a football program. The North Dakota State Bison. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't a hot take. This is legitimate fact here. Now that North Dakota State is an FBS program, they are joining the Mountain West Conference. It's not about the Mountain West Conference. It's now about North Dakota State planting its flag, because this is a legit program because of what they were able to do at the FCS level. The reason they didn't get as much talent originally is because they were at the FCS level. But now that you're going to be more competitive you're going to get some checks from the Mountain West, but not as much. You're going to have some more NIL opportunities. Again, it's going to take time. But if I'm Iowa, if I'm Wisconsin, if I'm Michigan State, if I'm Northwestern, right? If I'm some of those Midwest teams, Purdue, basically Indiana's one of the few ones that's exempt here. You are going to now take a hit in recruiting where you used to get maybe some extra depth, some diamonds in the rough, if you will, because, well, I'd go to North Dakota State, but they're at the FCS level. I'm better than that.
Yeah.
Now they're Division I FBS. I say Wisconsin, honestly, it might be reeling in this instance now that they have the same footprint.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm the jury for me is still out. They have not returned yet with a decision on North Dakota State. First of all, good for them. I do think this is cool. I do think this is something that has been in the works for quite some time, right? They didn't just wake up the other day and say, I think we're ready. No, they've been working on this for a while. But what baffles me here, Zach, is the different opinions that people have. It seems like people are just completely split on this, on whether they like it or not, or whether they think it's good for North Dakota State or not. You have half the people, it seems like, that are like, yeah, this is awesome. Go Bison. You're awesome. You're going to dominate at this level, and the Mountain West ain't ready for you. And the other half of people are like, well, hope you enjoyed your last national championship because it was and will be your last national championship. That seems to be what I've seen on the internet and from people talking so far. But until I see the recruiting side that you're talking about, I think there's a legitimate world for that. I really do. And you're not talking about...
I would just say it's not going to be so easy sledding anymore. Again, where Wisconsin, and it's not, people are going to say, oh, he's thinking that North Dakota State is going to absolutely just rampage on the recruiting trail against
You're not
these select
fighting for
teams
4 and 5 stars. Like,
no, but that's the thing. You are now going to have mutual recruiting battles that you didn't have as Wisconsin because they were FCS and you were FBS, where you thought that, and especially because again, schools like Wisconsin are now hurting in the modern era of college football. You needed everything you could get. Hey, North Dakota State starts building bridges and starts getting into your recruiting territory.
yeah.
Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. They are going to be a thorn in the side of these programs at a minimum. And it's only going to hurt these teams even more, because then you lose that diamond in the rough that, oh, he's a 3-star, but in reality he's actually an upper 4-star because maybe the high school competition isn't that good. Those players are going to start to selectively go over to North Dakota State in some capacity. It's not going to happen all overnight, but again, you take a few key players away from these programs, they're gonna be hurting.
Yeah. And I think my not a pushback, but I guess kind of to what you were just talking about is those teams like Minnesota and Wisconsin.
They rely on that.
They do. But you mentioned something that in today's era of college football, they've already been hurt. They've already been in this new world where they just can't get the depth and the talent that they used to. So maybe they're used to it, right? Maybe they don't have to really think and lose sleep at night about North Dakota State. They will lose recruiting battles at some point. They will. They absolutely will. And whether it makes national headlines or not, I don't know. But I feel like some of those teams, and Purdue is in there too, they're already kind of used to getting beat up like they are right now. And unless they find a new coach and a magical winning season and build on it like Indiana has done, they've kind of been stuck in that rut and they're not really going anywhere. So could North Dakota State make an impact? Yes. Until it happens consistently, though, on the field and off the field for the Bison, I'm not going to jump to that yet, but it absolutely could. There's no doubt in my mind that world could exist coming up in a couple of years.
It's still the Big Ten versus the Mountain West. So I will concede that. But again,
right.
North Dakota State was humming along as it was. FCS championship after FCS championship. We can debate. I think they're going to be successful right away in the Mountain West. And
really?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
And who's to say that, could they jump to the Big 12 in 4 or 5 seasons?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're going up against the likes of, Air Force and Northern Illinois and UNLV and Utah State, right?
That's
going up against a lot of those.
That's a good starting point for them.
That's a perfect spot for them. That makes sense geographically and talent-wise. I mean, there's no reason for them to try and jump into the new Pac-12 or, anything. Sun Belt obviously wouldn't make any sense for geographical, but that we don't think about geographics anymore, right? We just put people wherever and make it work. So, no, I'm happy for them. I hope it works out, but I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of in wait and see mode for North Dakota State.
That's understandable. Hey, the winning speaks for itself, the results, which is why I am buying stock in the Bison.
I love it.
I think North Dakota State, again, if you're Wisconsin, Michigan State, Purdue, Minnesota, Iowa, those select players that you thought you were going to be able to get away with recruiting now because you had control over the Midwest, you will start to lose some of those players. So
yeah, no doubt.
And enjoy that. We don't have that issue over here at Penn State and Indiana, and that is where we are going to wrap up this crossover to talk all things Big Ten, and of course, talk about our teams as well. He is Jacob Goins, the host of Locked On Hoosiers. My name is Zach Seyko, the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Leave a like if you are new to our show. Subscribe to our YouTube channels and wherever you get your podcasts for the latest daily conversations around Penn State and Indiana. Jacob, it's always great to chat with you. Enjoy these conversations a ton and can't wait to do it again next week.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again. Same time, same place next week.